On January 17th of this year, Con Ed made a filing with the Public Service Commission in which it announced a temporary moratorium on accepting new natural gas customers in the Westchester County portion of its service territory. The Department of Public Service staff is reviewing the filing and investigating the circumstances that led to it. Staff will be submitting a report on its findings. My role here today is to facilitate this information session and directly afterwards to conduct a formal public statement hearing where members of the can make formal statements that will be recorded and transcribed for the formal record. Now I'm going to turn things over to Deputy Director McCarron.
Who is going to first of all turn down the volume on her phone. That would be really good. Thank you. So we're here today to address Con Edison's recent announcement that it would impose a temporary moratorium starting on March 15th on taking new firm natural gas customers in much of Westchester County. Con Edison has explained that it has determined that existing natural gas infrastructure in the Westchester service territory limits the company's ability to meet new customer demand on the coldest winter days. In response, the Department of Public Service staff is investigating the changing market conditions that led to the company's decision and is developing recommendations to make certain that utilities across the state are able to meet customer needs in a manner consistent with the state's energy goals. Staff will develop a report on its findings, including findings to make certain that utilities across the state are able to meet customer needs in a manner that is consistent with the state's energy goals, and to confirm whether Con Edison's decision was warranted. The staff's report is due July 1st. However, staff will make available its findings before that date if warranted and feasible. As part of our investigation, the department is holding public statement hearings like this one, and the information that we collect will be used to help inform our review.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, Cindy. My name is Ivan Kimball. I'm the Vice President of Energy Management of Con Edison. I will describe the reasons behind the need to call the temporary moratorium on new gas connections in most of Westchester County, some alternatives our customers can use to meet their energy needs, and possible pathways forward. Since 2014, the customer demand for natural gas in Westchester County has grown by 2.7% annually. In partnership with our customers, stakeholders, and regulators, we have made great improvements to the air quality in our service area as customers have converted from oil to natural gas for their heating needs. Natural gas has been a choice of customers to address heating and cooking needs for most new building designs. The demand for natural gas on the coldest winter days, however, is outpacing supply due to those conversions, the preference for natural gas use in new building construction projects, and challenges to increasing interstate pipeline supplies. Interstate pipeline constraints do not affect our existing customers, but limit our ability to serve new customers on the coldest days when the demand for natural gas is at its highest. We have worked with interstate pipeline developers to increase supply to our service territory and specifically to Westchester County, but due to challenges in obtaining approval for such infrastructure, we have not had success. The resulting supply-demand imbalance is most acute in Westchester County. To address the supply-demand imbalance and help existing customers reduce the amount of gas they use, we are pursuing alternative solutions that will reduce our reliance on fossil fuels through innovative clean energy technologies. energy efficiency is one of the most important steps we can take to reduce customer usage overall and on the coldest winter days. Our first Public Service Commission filing in September of 2017 proposed a variety of new programs to help customers through energy efficiency, demand response, and also to solicit the marketplace for additional demand-side solutions and non-pipeline supply-side solutions. This filing also noted the potential for temporary moratoriums on new customer connections if our proposed measures could not provide balance between supply and demand. The Public Service Commission issued an order on February 7th of this year that approved several of our programs, including a portfolio of programs that resulted from our non-pipeline market solicitation. The programs include targeted energy efficiency, focused on low and moderate income customers, and an innovative program to implement building envelope energy efficiency for single-family homes in Westchester. Heating electrification, an aggressive geothermal heat pump program in Westchester, and a proposal to convert smaller multifamily buildings in the Bronx to air source heat pumps. In the same order, the Public Service Commission recognized the proposed supply-side measures to be a conventional approach to temporary supply shortages, indicating that the company should pursue these solutions in the interest of serving its customers, and in doing so should work with those customers and affected communities to pursue solutions that consider their needs. The supply-side solutions proposed in the company's filing include renewable natural gas, comprised of 3 projects to convert food waste and other organic materials to pipeline quality natural gas. 2 of our proposed projects are in Westchester. Compressed natural gas and liquefied natural gas trucked supplies that will allow us to inject gas into the local gas system at various industrial locations in Westchester County on peak heating days. In this order, the Public Service Commission also noted that the proposed measures are in the early stages of a long-term comprehensive approach. It is noteworthy that we will now begin to implement these programs, and it will take some time to reach their projected results. While these programs are all helpful and will advance new clean energy alternatives, they are not yet sufficient to meet the projected needs of our customers in Westchester currently subject to the moratorium. In other words, they do not yet give us a line of sight as to when the moratorium could end. We will also continue to explore with interstate pipeline developers opportunities for projects that increase supply and meet federal, state, and local requirements. With respect to the moratorium itself, in January we announced that after March 15, 2019, we will no longer accept applications for new natural gas connections in most of our Westchester service area until we can align demand with available supply. We will continue to accept new applications for interruptible service and natural gas-fueled emergency generators. Customer applications for new firm gas service will be accepted on a first-come, first-served basis until March 15th and will be required to begin taking service within 24 months. Customers will also have to meet specific timelines based on their request type. Customers who transfer ownership of existing premises that are currently using natural gas will be able to continue using natural gas as long as they don't increase their usage. Since we announced the temporary moratorium on new customer connections, we have seen a doubling of the number of applications for new natural gas service and a corresponding quadrupling of volume requested. We have been meeting with many stakeholders across Westchester County, including federal, state, and county elected officials, business owners, and leaders and developers. We have been keeping the Department of Public Service staff apprised of our activities related to the need for the moratorium and for smart solutions. We will continue to meet with various stakeholders as we move toward a clean energy future. Con Edison will continue to work with customers to help meet their energy needs and will provide information to customers to assist them in their decision-making process going forward. For more general information on the moratorium, you can go to coned.com/natural gas moratorium. The website contains FAQs, a map of the affected area, and information on rebates and incentives for gas alternatives from both the company and NYSERDA. If you have questions about the moratorium or want information on alternatives to natural gas, you can contact us at 1-800-643-1289, option 1, or gasalternatives@coned.com. For questions about specific cases, you can submit inquiries through Project Center for new construction or new business, or at otg@coned.com for conversions of existing premises to natural gas. Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll open it up. Is this on? We'll open it up to questions.
I have a question for Con Edison. Where are you going to get the gas for your planned liquefied and compressed natural gas facilities in Westchester?
Can everyone hear?
Is this on?
I'm not sure that it is. Thank you.
Hi, my question was, where is Con Edison going to get the gas for the liquefied natural gas and compressed natural gas storage facilities that they've proposed building in Westchester?
So the facilities are connections to our distribution system where the trucks would pull in and hold the compressed and liquefied natural gas. And we contract with those suppliers. And where those suppliers connect to and fill those trucks is not really part of the stipulated contract that we would enter into.
Okay, why then were residents of Cortland on Peachwood Drive told that there was going to be a transfer facility built off the Algonquin pipeline for Con Edison?
We can follow up on that question. I don't know the specifics of what customers were told in that case.
Okay, there was a meeting with the elected officials in Cortland, Con Edison, and representatives from Algonquin, and it was to build a transfer station on that pipeline, but you're saying you don't know anything about that?
Well, I'm not familiar with it, correct. So the question was essentially, and I'll give you an opportunity to correct me if I'm wrong in restating it. Essentially, why so little time for announcing the moratorium? Why do we have the planning in place and talk about moratoriums for so long, and then when we announce the moratorium, the deadline only 2 months out? Right? Is that okay? So I referenced a little in here the filings that we made with the Public Service Commission to look for market solutions to the issue around the supply and demand imbalance in Westchester for the specific area of the moratorium. So as recently as September of last year when we made the filing for those solutions, and prior to that when we were soliciting in the RFP for solutions, we were looking for solutions and ways to avoid the moratorium. We've been in discussions with pipeline developers, as I said, for a number of years to try and get a project done that would provide the supply so we could avoid the moratorium. So we've been working over time, but once we got to the certain point where we couldn't assure reliably that we could get supplies to the service territory, then we had no choice but to make that announcement.
Good afternoon. We're here for a public statement hearing for New York Public Service Commission, case 19G0080, in the matter of staff's investigation into a moratorium on new natural gas services in the Consolidated Edison Company of New York Incorporated service territory. I'm Administrative Law Judge Tony Balsito of the New York State Department of Public Service. On January 17th of this year, Con Ed made a filing in this case in which it announced a temporary moratorium on accepting new natural gas customers in the Westchester County portion of its service territory. The Department of Public Service staff is reviewing Con Ed's filings and investigating the circumstances that led to it. Staff will be submitting a report on its findings. As part of its effort, department staff wants to hear directly from the public. Therefore, the department is conducting this public statement hearing to solicit and make a record of your views. Many of you were present during the information session held just prior to this hearing. At that session, Con Ed explained its moratorium decision. There was a brief opportunity for questions and answers from both Con Ed and department staff. Now is the formal part of the afternoon where you can make a statement for the record.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for being with us here in Westchester County to hear about this crisis which affects all of us in Westchester County, businesses, government, not-for-profit organizations. January 17th is when Con Edison announced that they would begin a moratorium on March 15th, less than 60 days. It would not accept new natural gas customers, and they used the reason as an inability to meet projected future demand on the coldest winter days, without necessarily having the statistical backdrop, as County Legislator Mary Jane Shimsky said, to back up this claim as the reason for such a severe action as a moratorium. Our office has compiled an inventory of potentially impacted projects, which will give you an insight into the expected impacts throughout Lower and Middle Westchester County. These projects have been planned and reviewed by local communities. They're essential to the economic future and the local job creation of each of these communities. They include a diversity of projects: affordable housing, mixed-use housing, retail and commercial development, transit-oriented development, business expansions, and more. Here are some of the statistics that we have compiled from different communities. What is affected by this potential moratorium? 16,000 residential units scheduled to be built. The average residential rent is about $3,000 per month per unit. That's $36,000 per year for each of those units. The lost rental income from this would be $576 million a year in Westchester County. The lost number of construction jobs, 25,000 jobs would be lost by this. The lost number of residents, 48,000 residents. And the lost number of new residents to Westchester County, 20,000. Commercial units scheduled to be constructed, 2 million square feet of commercial space scheduled to be constructed. The lost rental income for that, $60 million per year lost by this moratorium. The number of permanent retail jobs, between 5,000 to 7,500 jobs lost, and the lost number of construction jobs, 3,500 construction jobs. That is the numerical face of what this means. And this is not necessarily a universal listing of various projects. This moratorium would bring to a dead halt our efforts to build affordable housing in Westchester County. We are in the middle of completing an affordable housing study, long needed, long overdue, that no doubt will identify thousands of units of affordable housing that's needed for people in this county where we have a housing crisis. All of that will come to a dead stop. And developers that are looking at Westchester County for any type of construction, residential, commercial of any sort, will be dealing with one county that has a moratorium and no other area that does, advantaging Long Island, Fairfield County, the other counties of the Hudson Valley, and northern New Jersey, all at the expense of Westchester County. There is no technical reason that we're aware of for which Con Edison cannot continue its practice of handling peak loads for the remainder of this winter. We have about a month and a half to go to the heart of the winter. If we have gotten to this point dealing with peak usage, then we should be able to get through the balance of this winter. And if we can get through the balance of this winter, then imposing a moratorium now is designed to preemptively reduce it for next winter. We need that time to be able to develop those energy conservation measures that I've described so that we can reduce the amount of this. It's unfair for residents of all income levels to be denied the opportunity to sign up for gas services. There's the negative impact on new businesses, as we've said. The county government is willing to engage with the PSC and engage with Con Edison and any other stakeholders to address demand-side management, gas energy efficiency, any beneficial electrification. Long-term, we need a policy that allows for new gas customers while managing the level of demand for natural gas. Also possible, but we in the county, the towns, the villages, The school districts, the cities, and the county government itself have no leverage in this. The leverage belongs to you. And in no way do we believe that we should trade off environmental protection and moving to renewables in the process of this decision. We don't believe that they're mutually exclusive goals, and that's what we have to fight for, and the way this policy is dealt with it going forward. And so therefore, as our state legislators have said, as our county legislators have said, as the local municipal officials have said, we are speaking with one voice. We need your help, we need it now. We need to, at the very least, defer this moratorium until you come back with your report on July 1st. That seems eminently reasonable. We need to get through this winter season. We will do what we can do to reduce gas demand. We encourage other major uses of gas in this county to do the same. And out of that process, we'll have an immediate opportunity to deal with the crisis as it exists today, to give you the chance to lay out something more broad-based. But we have to do this rationally, because if we fail to do it rationally, then we're failing the people of this county. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have, just in the city of White Plains right now, 22 approved projects ready to go. We have a total of 30 in the pipeline that represent 6,000 residential units just in the city of White Plains, a city of only 57,000 people. So this is a major issue. I've been, between being a council member, being a mayor, 17 years of doing this. I have seen what happens in the development side of things. The window opens and then the window closes. So we have worked very hard to have a professional review, a thorough review, but a review that can move forward with speed, because you don't know when that window is going to close and you're going to lose your opportunity. I don't know what's happening. There's all kinds of different elements going on right now, but this was the last thing we needed to hear. Not only does it, the actual moratorium itself cause a problem, but just the mere discussion of it causes a problem in some projects where these are major projects. In some cases, we've got one that's about $500 million. This is real money, and there are so many variables to begin with and so much risk that this can have an impact.
My name is Lee Zishi, and I'm an organizer with Sane Energy Project, and for the past 6 years, I've been working with communities across New York and Pennsylvania to stop fracking and frack gas infrastructure. I'm here today as someone who grew up in Pennsylvania, where people are suffering from the devastating impacts of fracking, and now as someone who lives in New York, to urge the Public Service Commission to not be swayed by Con Ed's moratorium scare tactics and soundly reject the expansion of frack gas infrastructure. And let's be clear, that is the decision before the PSC. Will you support the expansion of dirty frack gas infrastructure or renewable heating? Con Ed, other utilities, and pipeline companies like Williams call it clean natural gas, but we know that is a fossil fuel industry lie. Frack gas threatens the health and safety of communities and the climate. Methane, the main component of frack gas, is 86 to 100 times more potent a greenhouse gas than CO2 for the first 20 years it's in the atmosphere. If just 3% leaks, frack gas is worse for the climate than coal and oil. Over the total life cycle of the gas, from fracking wellhead to consumption, scientists are finding a terrifying leakage rate of 5 to 12%. And as we heard from the gentleman from Con Ed today, they are not even including, they don't know what the leakage rates are for this project. So when they talk about this is lower greenhouse gas emissions, they can't possibly even say if that's true or not. So we cannot possibly meet New York's climate goals and if we continue to hook up new customers to frack gas. The conversion from oil to gas and the continual build out of gas heating is not driven by climate science. It is driven by the greed of corporate utilities and big real estate developers. Con Ed's top 5 executives made $19 million last year, and the CEO made $8.7 million alone. That's about 140 times the median household income in New York. You are the Public Service Commission, which means you serve us, the public, not the interests of wealthy utility executives. The PSC needs to reverse their decision to allow Con Ed to build frack gas storage facilities in Westchester as part of their Smart Solutions plan, and New York State must commit to seriously funding renewable heating options like geothermal and air source heat pumps for low and moderate income residents of Westchester. Every single dollar spent on new gas infrastructure is a dollar that takes us in the wrong direction. The moratorium is a manufactured crisis from Con Ed to con us into locking our energy economy into more fossil fuels for decades to come. To the elected officials worried about economic development, I ask you to think about the economic devastation climate change fueled by gas expansion will bring. To those advocating for affordable housing, I ask you to remember that low-income people are those most impacted by fossil fuels and climate change. To those advocating for schools, I ask you to think about what kind of future those kids will have when our planet has warmed by 2 degrees Celsius because of gas expansion. And to our labor brothers who are in the room, though it seems like most of them have left, I ask you to see us not as environmental advocates, but as advocates for the people who are prepared to stand and fight with you for good-paying labor jobs that don't poison communities and the climate, and to build the renewable energy system we need. A Green New Deal for New York that would phase out gas could be an economic boom that will not only address climate change, but economic inequality. What I hear in this room is a lot of people who are afraid to stand up to Con Ed and big developers and fight for what is right for all of us. I'm 29 years old. Like, I want a future and a planet to live on, and we can't have that if there's an expansion of gas. So we're at a crossroads and must seize this opportunity and take the path that leads us to 100% renewable heating for all New Yorkers. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Tina Boltzmonder, and I live in Peekskill, New York. And I'm a member of the public, and I'm a ratepayer. And I came here today to see if you are, in fact, the Public Service Commission. Because otherwise, just from the news and everything, it seems that a larger organization may be called Utilities Service Commission. And I say that because, and I'm a reluctant ratepayer and public person in this regard, and that is in our public safety. We had the Spectre AIM pipeline put into our community very reluctantly, with a lot of opposition, because we have Indian Point power plant that's being decommissioned. So why put a high pressure gas pipeline next to Indian Point when that needs to be decommissioned? We have a state that's, I hope that you know this, that's done a risk assessment about it. But back to this is that I observed the construction, and I was a volunteer observer of the construction that Spectre did in putting in their pipeline. I've watched Con Ed expand the M&R station for the last year and a half, and what looks like building out the transfer capabilities of this M&R station. So what I want to do here now is to call truth to you and also to Con Ed. I think that this has been planned for quite a long time. If you look at the other stations along the Spectre AIM pipeline in Somers and Yorktown, you can see that these things are being expanded in order to transfer gas down here. So even if that's the case, then I would like to say, why are we considering putting LNG and compressed gas storage and these bomb trucks in Westchester? Like, what is the point? So anyway, we were able to find this quote from the person who runs the Public Service Commission, and I want to call truth to this. So this is John Rhodes. Do you know him? Okay. And he says that NYSERDA will prioritize its programs, including programs targeted in Westchester County, to help consumers reduce their energy needs by installing technology that will reduce heating and cooling costs with clean energy solutions. Do you realize that I had Dandelion Energy come for a geothermal demonstration? And I live in a historic district in Peekskill. We had 25 people show up because they're looking at changing their heating systems. Their Dandelion, who works with Google, is looking at how to adapt these radiators with this kind of technology. That's the kind of energy solutions that, as consumers, we're looking for. And if you are truly the Public Service Commission, you'll see whatever you can do to make that happen for us.
We've all heard the adage, as construction goes, so goes the economy. We believe that without access to clean natural gas, development in Westchester County will be dangerously impacted and will have far-reaching consequences. Not only for the inability to supply power to our communities, but the loss of jobs for thousands of hardworking tradespeople and millions in tax revenue to the state.
Hi, my name is Courtney Williams. I'd just like to start my statement by reminding everyone that earlier I asked Con Edison where they would be getting this gas from, and specifically mentioned Peachtree Drive in Cortland, and was told that they had no idea where they were getting the gas, but it wasn't that. And as I went out to use the restroom, the Algonquin Pipeline Government Relations person is outside in the lobby, Christian D. Palmero. And so I find it a very interesting coincidence that that he is here today if they are not getting their gas from that source. So my planned statements were to say that I am a Con Edison ratepayer, and every day I hear on the news about how renewables are getting cheaper and cheaper, and yet every year my Con Ed bill goes up and up. So why are they continuing to invest in expensive and antiquated fossil fuel technology? That is because they're a company and their goal is to make money, not to do what is best for their ratepayers, not to do what is best for our climate. They have a financial incentive to charge more for a scarce resource. So are we at all surprised that they've issued a moratorium on gas? We need to stop pretending like we have any choice whether or not to act to avert climate change. No more fracked gas infrastructure. If we expect to make the changes that we need to save ourselves, that means no more fossil fuel infrastructure. We need renewable energy now. We have the technology available now to make the switch. I urge the Public Service Commission to not be frightened into making a rash and short-sighted decision on this moratorium. We cannot let Con Edison dictate when and how we move to 100% renewable energy. As our legislator Mary Jane Shinsky mentioned earlier, they have bungled more than one important situation, and we cannot let them bungle this switch to renewables. The Public Service Commission must take this opportunity, this moratorium, see it as an opportunity, and embrace renewables now. It is not mutually exclusive, as our county executive said. Development, smart development, and environmental change are not mutually exclusive. I urge the Public Service Commission to not allow Con Edison to dictate how they're going to harm the ratepayers in Westchester County and build out more fracked gas infrastructure. New York State banned fracking because of the health impacts. And now Con Edison wants to drive fracked gas around on our roads, and they want to build fracked gas storage facilities in our communities. These are not consistent with our governor's goals. They are not consistent with addressing climate change in the way we need to. Thank you.
My name is Kim Frachek. I am the director of Sane Energy Project. We're based in Con Edison territory and represent 7,500 members across New York. First, I want to preface this with why I'm concerned about this personally. I grew up in Pennsylvania. My family still lives there. This is the epicenter of fracking, a process that New York State has banned in 2014, citing health and safety impacts. I can assure you that natural gas is not natural and not clean or cleaner. There are people I know and love who can't drink their water or bathe their children in their water in their home because of this extraction. Additionally, I know people who work for the fracking industry because they simply have no other choice. This is not democracy. We should not be following the model of Pennsylvania. We should have an opportunity here in New York to build our labor and economy toward renewable, efficient, and sustainable models. The last-minute announcement to the public of a gas moratorium is not only not believable that Con Ed, a corporate utility traded on the New York Stock Exchange with a revenue of $3.33 billion, could possibly not have seen a potential hole in delivering the very product that achieves these astronomical profits. But we are increasingly concerned that Con Edison's moratorium announcement was suspiciously timed to manufacture a sense of scarcity and crisis just weeks before the New York Public Service Commission was to vote on whether to approve a major expansion of gas storage and trucking in Westchester County as part of the company's otherwise laudable Smart Solutions program that promotes heat pumps and efficiency. On February 7th, I was in the Public Service Commission meeting, and it was unfortunately voted on to approve these gas projects, linking it to a fear of moratorium in a long testimony by Commissioner Diane Berman. We demand that our Public Service Commission and Department of Public Service and Public Service Commission work with Governor Cuomo to direct NYSERDA to put in place additional heat pump incentives for those areas affected by the moratorium and to be a part of transitioning our labor force to build the renewable economy. We urge you not to allow this kind of corporate pressure from Con Ed to influence the Public Service Commission. The scale of heat pump adoption needed to meet our climate goals is enormous. Estimated at 126,000 buildings per year, approximately 10,500 per month. State policies must reflect this scale and urgency. The energy it takes from the cradle-to-grave extraction and transport process for fracked gas far exceeds the heat pump adoption rates. We can do this. Con Ed wants to build more gas infrastructure because that's how it makes money. It can charge a guaranteed rate of return on these products for its shareholders, and by hooking people on gas, it will be earning revenue for decades to come for those customers. This is a time to challenge the corporate utility model. People don't need Con Edison's gas for heat. They can get most of their heat from renewable sources in the environment using heat pumps and then provide electricity to run the pumps using solar and wind. This is how we can align our home heating with New York renewable energy goals and reduce payments to Con Ed. Investment for more gas infrastructure on the backs of ratepayers is undeniably irresponsible from an economic point of view. Economically, new gas infrastructure projects, I just got a call, are likely to become stranded assets that will need to be retired to meet the state's climate goals long before they've been paid off. Utility customers will be on the hook for the debt created by those stranded assets. The Public Service Commission should direct the company to install thousands of heat pumps and engage in energy efficiency programs while denying any investments in future gas infrastructure. Resources should be redirected to provide environmentally friendly heating alternatives to those who are constructing buildings that would be impacted by the moratorium. Thank you very much.
So she must just see. Oh, yeah, right.
No, just kidding. Ready for the buzz. I used to say the boost.